Okay, I am live. I am live. Let me tell the Discord crew. And let me make sure the comments are there. Let's see. It's 6 a.m. here in Seattle. So it should be plenty of time for people on the East Coast. Normally, I'm streaming pretty late. Let's see. Let's get the link into chat. Live. Get share up a link. And then let's tell chat. Yeah, this was a little bit of a surprise. I am streaming now. Oops. Said I am streaming now. Streaming now and on camera. Doing a live stream. Answer shopping questions. Shopping questions on buy. For tablets. I had a fun weekend, I'll tell you that. Okay, where are my ears? Here we go. Okay, ears are in. Is that right? I hope that's in. Let's see. AirPods. Okay, let's just play the music and see if it works. I'm looking around. Music. Where's the music? There we go. I love the music. Okay. So, I promised live streams to help people shop, and that's what I'm doing. Because my data says that people shop for tablets starting actually in October. So now we just entered November. It's what, the 3rd today. So I'm looking forward to the questions. I might do a little artwork while I'm here. Hello, Mihao. He's joined us. The stream is quiet. Stream is quiet. Does everyone else think that? Hi, Albert. Hi, Pleasing. Let me just write that note. Is stream quiet for everyone? Let me know. Stream very quiet, he says. Okay, while I wait for the answer to that. Okay, not for Pleasing. It's okay for Pleasing. Albert, can you comment too? I haven't changed my volume settings. I can see my levels. That's why I want to make sure. What is today? Today is Monday. Or as the Polish say, Poniedziałek, I believe. It's Poniedziałek. I forgot all the names for the days in Polish. I remember like half of them. It's okay. Let's see. Sounds normal. Okay, good. Mihao, I think that's you on the volume. So, we're going to answer questions. And I can take any questions, but I'm here just to help people shop. I'll be here for as long as it takes. My only Don't worry, I forget the names for days in English. Meow says. Man, so what I did on the weekend was I did a lot of, hi Hera, good to see you. And I Hera, if you show up in Seattle, I will give you a tour box. How's that? For those who don't know, I have a lot of tour boxes. I have 5, 6 tour boxes. How I have so many is a bit of a weird story, but in short, I have it whole. So when I'm almost embarrassed to say this, I'm a believer in having multiple desks. Okay, like a work desk and a other desk, and I use drawing tablets on both. And I draw both, and I found it was more elegant to have a tablet and a tour box on both desks. So that's 2 tour boxes. And then of course I had to draw at work. That was 3 tour boxes. And then of course there are multiple versions of the tour box. So that all just doubled. So that's how we got to 6. Right? And then there's one I bought for my mom and she never used it. Okay, as I wait for questions, let me tell you what I did on the weekend. What did I do? I did a lot of vibe coding. So I made a program to... You'll get me a coffee if I... Yeah! Listen, all you have to do is show up in Seattle. I'll take care of the rest. What was I going to say? I did a lot of vibe coding. I'm going to make a video today about barrel rotation. I got a lot of questions about what it is and how it's different from tilt. What up, King of Talents? Thank you. Thanks for joining our stream. Yaruk Askaru. Damn, played for $8. Not yeah. Wouldn't it be funny if it was cheaper to get on a plane in the United States and get a tour box for me? Let's see. I'm using a Moving Pad Pro 14 for 14 days, and I have to admit, pen seems like super cheap and plastic, yet somehow it's the best digital pen I've ever used, better than the Apple Pencil Pro. This is what I always say, honestly. Apple Pencil Pro, some people love it, some people hate it. I don't hate it, but I definitely prefer the way EMR pens work, and I definitely prefer the way the Pro Pen 2 or Pro Pen 3 work. So I totally feel you on that one. Hi, Stephanie. Thanks for joining us. I gotta, Nocti is amazing. Yeah, so Mike Mihal says he's modding his PTH to have barrel rotation. I'd love to see how that's gonna work. Nocti is like a genius. He's always writing like code to do amazing things. They're so high level. When I say high level, I just mean they're amazing. And he's writing also very low level code, which is also amazing. Like it's very detailed code. And he knows so much about like Android and systems, and he's always developing something. It's just stunning. Meanwhile, I'm just vibe coding and tweaking. Pleasing says, same here. Same. I'm still more comfortable using my XP pen. Yeah. I think the issue with the Apple Pencil for me is there's not really a nib. It's just... So it feels different. Number 2, there's no buttons. That's another... I don't like that. I like buttons. There's no eraser, but I don't use an eraser, so that doesn't affect me. It's also maybe... I'm not sure how to say this. I believe it's the way the weight is distributed is weird for me. Just slightly weird. Different from an EMR pen. I hate that Apple... You have to get the Apple Pencil Pro to get hover, and only on certain tablets. That seems weird to me. They say that, only certain chips and like the M3 support hover, M3 and above, and I'm like, how can that be? That doesn't even make sense. Doesn't even make sense. Oh yeah, I forgot about the squeeze mechanic. No, the one feature of the Apple Pencil I like is the what do you call it? I haven't used. I mean, I've used it, but I've never used it. I've never put it into practice. It's the Eureka Screw says the Apple Pencil is heavier than the Wacom pen. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. Hera says the Apple Pencil is a bit heavy for how thin it is. Yes. The other thing I don't like, the one feature of the Apple Pencil I do like, which I wish Wacom pens would have, they have a Find Me feature. So you lose it, which that's what the purpose of digital pens is, to be lost. And the Find Me feature, the pen does not make a sound, which I wish it would. But you, like on your iPad or iPhone, it'll like, you can, you remember that scene in Aliens where the aliens are coming down the hallway, but they have that little radar, and on the radar it beeps? Like it's like that. For $100-something for a pen, you deserve a Find Me feature. Okay, give me a second. I'm just gonna clean up some links here. Let me just I gotta. Ooh. So as we get questions, I'll also just open up Reddit in a second, and we'll answer questions, like literally find questions to answer. Other than that, we can just do whatever. My only appointment today is 10 o'clock my time, which is in 4 hours, a doctor's appointment. So I've got the entire day to do whatever I want. Let's see, let's clean up this thing and then clean up this. Oh, I don't even know how this. Yep. And then one more cleanup. Mirror, mirror. You're writing from your sick bed. You're sick. Sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that. I don't want that. Okay. There we go. There we go. So while we're here, I gotta say I'm still just in love with the MovingPad Pro 14. I think it's like I said, it's probably the tablet of the year right now. One of the best devices I've had, and I hope that Wacom knows that. Yeah, there could be some improvements, but it's like I think the analogy I use is, I used to have this car. It was an Audi A6, 2005 model Audi A6. I drove for 15 years. And every time you changed, you had the blinker to change lanes. If you wanted to go left, the blinker would stick. So you push it down to blink left, and it would keep blink like normal. And then you pull it back up to the neutral position, and then it'd still keep on blinking, signaling to everyone that you're going left. And so you'd have to go up, down and up a couple of times before it sort of got it. So it was irritating. And the reason I bring that up is sometimes you can love things enough that its limitations or flaws are like irrelevant. Like it doesn't matter because the overall thing is so good. That's what I thought about my Audi A6 from 2005. Wacom MovingPad Pro is like that. Is it a perfect device? No. Does it have some weird things? Yeah. But the weird things, when you think about what you get out of it, the little weird things it does have don't diminish my overall love for it. I got to do more investigation on that GT, the static on the 1902 mirror, but I will write that down in my list of. Let me open up my show notes. Let's see, show notes. Carlo Cusa says, I recently got a hand-me-down iPad from relative. Got the Pencil Pro. Kind of like the light pressure curve on that pencil much more than trying to use that same. Yeah, it's what I found is I'm glad you mentioned that pressure curve because I've measured a couple of Apple Pencils and they seem to have a very linear pressure response, which is surprising. It just never feels quite the same, even though the pens supposedly have 16K levels of pressure. I think a pressure curve on an EMR pen, a normal drawing tablet, if it's curved like down and then up, that might help. That would make an EMR pen feel more linear. But it's never about the levels of pressure, because 16K, 8K doesn't matter. Let's see. Yeah, Miha, that's a really good analogy. That's a good analogy. I like that. You can have a 24-inch 4K display and a 45-inch 4K display. Okay, let me create a new show notes for that mirror. Hang on. What is today? 11/3. Wow, this year has flown by. Let's see. Reminder here. Investigate static electricity with Canvas Pro 19 and 27. Okay. Now that I'm here, I took 3 paracetamol and the fever is still here. Yeah, I hate having a severe fever. I hate having to be in bed because I'm sick. I like the idea of being cozy and slightly sick in bed, but not like actually sick. Oh, it did fly by. We'll have to make a video to sum it up. Is that comment for me or for someone else, Miho? And I can't remember which topic you're talking about, which thing to make a video on. Let's see, I'm gonna open up Reddit. I'll show you what's on my screen in a second. Actually, before I do that, let me just check. Let me just do a quick check of YouTube just to make sure we don't have any new videos from Brad or T.O. or someone else or any other news. You never know. Yeah, okay, you know what? We do actually have a comment. Let me show it. Oops, that's not it. How about this? Yeah, here we go. Oh, I like to do a little bit of mail call, as I call it. Ah, the year. You mean the year. Yes. I will. I will do a year summary. Absolutely. Yes. And let me write that down. The exact comments. Year summary video. Year in review. I think that's a great idea. I'll do that one before the end of the year, and then I'll do a drawing tablet awards after that. Because those are slightly different topics, right? So new releases. Yeah, this is good. That's a great idea. Releases. Like the K16G3. We have the Wacom Cintiq 25s. We have the moving pads. We have the MDP 2025. What else do we have released? Oh, the Wacom Intuos Pro, of course. Yeah. I think the most influential. So Miha points out the moving pad is the biggest one because it opens up the on-the-go market a lot. I agree. And you know what I would say? I don't think we've ever really had a great drawing experience on the go. Because not everyone likes the Apple Pencil and the iPad. And what was I going to say? The other thing I would say is that there was never a real answer from Wacom. Because the Mobile Studio Pro I never recommended. And a lot of people don't like. Though some people love it. But we only had Samsung S tablets, basically. Or iPads. But now we have an answer. Now we actually have an answer. Like, there's a device you can buy that gives you the best drawing experience. Right? Yes, Hera, there were a lot of crazy releases this year. Lots of them. Yes. Let's see. What other things would I mention about year in review? Yeah, you're right, Mir. You're right, Mir. Let me just list that out. The Canvas Pro 24 doesn't. It's sort of released without the same fanfare as the last year, or the year. Yeah, I think it was last year. The Canvas Pro 19 and 27. It just kind of like released. One of the and I will order it. Actually, is it available for order yet? Let me check Huion. I don't know if it's actually available yet. Let's see, for me to order. Pro. Yeah, it looks like I can. It looks $1,400. I'll be honest with you, there's nothing that excites me about this tablet. And I'm like, it looks the same, physically has the same body as the old one. Two of the reviews have talked about it has more parallax than people expected. But I do like that it's touch, right? And you know, I guess because I have a Canvas Pro 19, I don't need most of the tablets I buy. I would be buying this more just so that I have something in this size that has touch and the new PW600 pen. I just really wish it looked different, honestly. I know it sounds like really petty, but it's got the same shell as the old one, right? And the parallax is bigger. That bothers me a bit. Let's see. Wacom should make their own Procreate clone for MVP Pro 14 like Huawei did with GoPaint. Oh, Huawei made their own app? I didn't know that. Let me just write that down. That's actually an interesting data point. Just as a note. Huawei made their own app. GoPaint. I did not know that. GoPaint. Let's see. But I agree with you, actually. Well, they did make the Wacom Canvas, which is actually, it's noteworthy. It's noteworthy to talk about that. Wacom Canvas. But it's for just lightweight sketching, though, right? I think you're saying you want something more developed, more comprehensive in what you can do. Let's see. It's a solid tablet for its size. Seems like, unless they screw the digitizer. Yeah. But I think your point about your Wacom should make their own Procreate is interesting, because how does a company like Wacom add value and maintain their dominance in the market? A lot of the things we think of as sort of Wacom specific over the years, like low IF, high maximum pressure, touch, are things that are just coming into Huion and XP Pen. And maybe doing an app is a way of maintaining some distinction, some differentiation. Let's see, GoPaint is insane. It's just as feature-rich as Procreate, and it's the only app on Android with Procreate level latency on a Pro. I didn't know that. Okay, let me save that comment. That's actually interesting to know that. Stylus X, yes, Smear. Actually, the Stylus X people, I did a stream on Stylus X. They actually saw the stream, or at least saw that the stream existed, and sent me an email to see if I'd share any feedback, and I will. and it's it's fun. Though I think probably my biggest feedback about it is, how can I say this? Okay, let me try it like this. The iPad is only so big. Like the iPads only get 13 inches diagonally. And if you use Stylus X on a 24-inch screen, the way you want to use the screen UIs will feel a little different because you're reaching it in vastly different sizes, right? And so maybe I would say they should think about having the UI. I don't know how to express this, but like maybe the UI should be slightly different as the size of the tablet gets bigger, or let you do that, because some things are more convenient if you do a more traditional layout than a normal iPad layout as you get to 24 inches. Oh, that's right, Hera. They were, weren't they? They did join. Because we know that the KP16 Gen 3 is a bit worse than the KP13 Gen 3. Mihal, can you remind me in what way that the Canvas Pro? Sorry, are you talking about the Canvas 16 or the Canvas Pro 16 Gen 3? Just want to make sure we're on the same page. Okay, they didn't write anything. Stylus X is good. I want to do another stream on Stylus X. What else happened this year? This is good, actually, because it makes me realize I should... Oh, that just reminds me. So I'm going to put this down as a show idea. Should do that. Should we do another... what did I call it? Tablet tier list? Tablet tier list. Because it'll be slightly different than last year. There would be some changes. Right? So let me know if I should do that. Thank you, Hera. You're right. Canvas Pro 16 V2. Canvas Pro 16 V2. It was slightly more wobbly. I mean, oh yeah. Sorry, yes, you're right. The Huion Canvas 16 Gen 3 just had a little line diagonal wobble. Tier lists are good. They bring people to the yeah. That's actually a great idea. So I tell you what is it? Today's November. People are going to be shopping. How about I do a tier list next week? Right? I might do an early morning and a late. No, I did 2 episodes of the tier list last year, just so everyone, I did a live. I mean, both were live, but one I constructed the list, and the second time I just talked about the list. Wacom 114, yes. Oh, it just reminds me, the Artist 12 Gen 3, or third as they call it. Thank you, Albert, for reminding me. Oh yeah, Hera, thank you. She mentioned that. The X4 pen. What was the other one? Artist Ultra. I love the name, Artist Ultra. Let's see, Mir says, also, that's my face is in the way, of course. Let's see if we can do that a little bit. Okay. It's also sudden, but one of my friends who rigged and drew her own model just debuted. Her channel is Veronica Venros. I tell you what, let's take a look at it. Let me, it's a YouTube channel, right? Veronica or Veronica? Venros. Let's see. It is Varorka. I guess this is it, right? Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Oops, did I make a mistake? Artist Ultra Force. No, okay. Thank you, Hera. Thank you, Hera. Thank you. Let's take a look. Let's just see. Let's just take a look at what she's. There's a short live. Looks like Varorika streams. Long streams. Okay. Let's just take a look at a video. A showcase. Varorika Vainrose model showcase. I'm keeping the mute thing just in case. Well, it's looking good. I like it. So this is she built this model, huh? That's very nice. It's got to be really, really challenging to make something like this, honestly. Oh wow, that's cool. That is actually really cool to see this like tablet with an actual pen. That is very cool. Let's see, I'm guessing this is list only for drawing specific tablets. Yeah, I mean I can talk about it, but like the thing is I don't okay, I guess so I'm responding to this comment by Ahmed Astrid. The challenge with the iPad is it's not really a drawing tablet. It just can take the role of a drawing tablet sometimes. And so also I didn't get trust me, I have on my desk over there, I have 4 iPads, or maybe 5. I don't need any more iPads. I think, and I've said this a couple of times, I think this coming year, there's less of a need for me to buy as many tablets as I was buying, because I think I'm waiting now for the next breakthrough, the next evolution. Right now, we have Pentec 4.0 from Huion. We have this X4 coming with XP Pen. But, what I want to see is that when's that next evolution of the technology to get us closer to Wacom's level of IAF and max pressure. Oh, let's say comment about the moving pad. It seems very fast, and even the 14, the Moving Pad Pro, it seems very fast, and even though my iPad Air is twice as fast in benchmarks, in everyday use, the Wacom makes up for it with fast animations and a 120 hertz screen. I haven't even used the 120 hertz screen, I kept it at 60 or whatever. But I agree with the comment. Like, on paper, the M5 is, or even the M4 or whatever, and probably the M3 are faster than the Wacom. But because it's not bloated with stuff, and I've been using Clip on it quite a bit, it does just feel really, really performant. Now, I haven't tried a lot of layers, though, which is a comment some people give me. They want me to try that. Let's see. Harris says, the iPad Pro M5 didn't really change anything in terms of drawing capability, just the processor really... Yeah, it's just a bump in some specs, really. Let's see. Amir says she's willing. This is talking about the VTuber model we were looking at. She's willing to give me an offer to rig my own model if I ever. That's a great idea. I want to try VTubing one time just to see what it's like. I am curious. I mean, just sort of how it works, right? Nomad Sculpt crashes when I touch it with Pro. Well, that's weird. Like that specific pen causes it to crash, but let's say a Pro Pen 2 wouldn't, or some other pen. Interesting. So I'll schedule the tier list for next week. I'll probably do it in the middle of the week. Maybe in the morning like I'm doing now, because like it seems like it's a convenient time for some people. Plus it gets the East Coast people. When I go late at night, in Seattle time, I'm on the West Coast, so it's very late in the East Coast. Okay, let me, did anything else come out this year? Clip. Should I do a show on AI? Not necessarily Gen AI, but I'm just curious, should I have one? I think many people are confused when some of us say that drawing with the Apple Pencil is not that good. Yes. Yeah, I think you're right, Emerdro. I think, especially because some people love the Apple Pencil, okay? And then the other thing is, some people, the app people are using with the Apple Pencil is the, Procreate. And a lot of things that people like about drawing the iPad are really Procreate, how Procreate works, right? Procreate's a great app. I just don't like the way it specifically does things. Doesn't the iPad Pro have like a 12 gigabyte of the base model? I guess that makes a slight difference in the number of layers. If one didn't get the one, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay, I need to take a quick bio break, so I'll be right back. Okay, I am back. I am back. Ooh. Let's see. It's a shame Wacom didn't add more accessories to the box, like thicker grip. And felt tips seem to be harder than I'm used to. I found it scratchier. I can understand why some people would like it. I do think they should have added a thicker grip, honestly. That was able to draw with confidence. Yes, I think that's one of the first things I noticed. It's incredibly pleasant to draw with the moving pad, especially the Pro. I think the Pro feels better. Hi, Stella. Thanks for joining the stream. Let me just make sure I didn't miss any other comments. Okay. So tier list next week, year in review, probably in December, I would say. In December. So you can see what I'm typing. Any more show ideas, just let me know. Actually, one video I'm going to work on this week. Let me show you what it is. In my Git book, I did a stream on this, I think, early in the year, but I want to make an official video on it. It's called Drawing Smooth Strokes. And this is all about the techniques to draw smooth lines. And I actually have a tablet in front of me, so let me see if I can connect it and explain just my theory of how to explain this topic. Let me plug it in here and turn on clip. Give me a second. Just, it's nice to have something in front of me as I talk about this topic. File, new. Let me make that a 4K. Okay. So, what I wanted to do is show all the techniques that someone could use for drawing like a smooth stroke. And so my theory of explaining this is something like just breaking apart all the ways this can be the case, right? Like, first there's the things that have to deal with the hand, like just the grip, right? And then there's like all the things you have to take care of to deal with. So, a stroke can be non-smooth in a couple of ways. It can be because the position, meaning as you're moving, or it can be because of the pressure or the size of the brush. And I wanted to show you all the techniques you can use to smooth things out. And it's not just a matter of turning on, stabilization. There's actually a lot of techniques. So for example, you can use pressure curves, pressure smoothing. You can adjust how tilt works. So for example, a lot of brushes, they actually change the thickness of the stroke depending on the amount of tilt. And I think you have to examine your brushes, and if you really want smooth strokes, turn off tilt, because that's affecting the variability of your stroke, right? So I want to do a video on that. So that's another thing I'm trying to plan out. Just how to do smooth strokes. And actually, let me see if I can give an example, actually. Why is this not working? I'm moving. What the heck? Let me try. Why is this not up? Oh, it'd help if I used a Wacom pen with this, huh? Yeah, there we go. I was using a Huion pen with my 2Os Pro 2025 and wondering. So let me just draw with the G pen. Yeah, There we go. Wow, you can really feel the high IF. So you see, it depends on what you mean by smooth, but like, see the variability in the line thickness? And like a little bit of, here's a technique. Remember, this is a different kind of pressure curve. I just want to show this to you. Is reduce this. Actually, first of all, reduce the tilt, okay? That should have a little bit of impact because the tilt is affecting the line. I don't want it to, okay? With some brushes you do. So that's helping a little bit. I believe it is, actually. And the second thing I would change is, so I turned off tilt. And then I would actually make, one technique is to do like this with the pressure curve, okay? That should help with the smaller end of the brush, of the pressure, right? You can see it's smoother, right? It's definitely thinner, but you don't always want to be that thin, so you do something like this. You reduce the range, okay? And I usually do it something like this. And now, oops, that's a little too much. There we go. Now watch. Now it starts thicker. It'll increase in size, but you can see, especially as I make a smaller brush, how much smoother it is. I didn't turn on, there's no stable, well, there's a 5% stabilization, which is not a lot. But you see how much smoother it is? How much of a smoother stroke? Just with those turning off tilt and turning on, adjusting the pressure curve. Because I think a lot of people get frustrated, actually, because they get this kind of stroke. Like this. Let me show you. And it's a very digital look to get this stroke like this. You know what I'm talking about with these super thin beginnings and ends, right? Like it's such a classic look for a digital pen to do that because that's just the way pressure works. And you can control all of that. Let's see. What's your opinion on Affinity Studio? A lot of people are saying it isn't usual for artwork. Oh, okay, yeah. So let's make sure everyone's understanding what's going on here. So we have Affinity, which is now one app. Actually, I have it installed, and the one app covers three. So it's one UI that covers, you know, pixel. I'm actually drawing with this. Pixel, vector, and I forgot what they call out. Like I'll say layout, okay, or whatever, pages or something, right? So it's not really for drawing, right? I wouldn't like. It's kind of like Photoshop and Illustrator put together here. Can you draw with it? Kind of, but not like Clip Studio Paint, right? Clip Studio Paint's really meant for, what's the right word here? Okay, let me say it like this. Clip Studio Paint is made to render expressive strokes. Yeah, it's not usable for artwork. I think you can use it. I don't think it's optimized for it. I think you'll be spending a lot of time making things look the way you want. Like, it doesn't have this feature. Literally what I'm showing, actually, let me erase this for a second. I'm gonna draw a vector layer. It cannot do this. It can do this a little bit, but it's missing things like you have to set that up in Affinity. But it's good that it has it, but it's a vector eraser. Let me turn on the eraser here. It can't do this, right? Which is a feature you need. You need that. Yeah, Carlo, it just does not feel the same. See, I gave a try to V3 Affinity and the pixel percent feels clunky. Doesn't give as much control. For example, you either set a brush or pressure tilt. Yeah, the way it handled how the brush dynamics, or the brush sensors as some people call it, the pen are applied to the brush. I found that clunky too, right? Oh, Tio's here. Affinity apps aren't as good for drawing compared to other apps. Yeah, like when I've used Affinity, I just literally use it to like photo correction, and I use it for simple vector artwork. Okay, and it works good for that. I mean, look, I am not an illustrator, so my needs for doing anything with vector stuff is pretty limited. So, but it works. It works extremely well for that. For photo correction, it works well for that. But I wouldn't use it like I'd use Clip Studio Paint at all. And they also have a weird bug where you must set hardness to 99% or low pixel brushstrokes bug out. Interesting. I'll have to take a, let me save that comment, Carlo. Because I would like to, where are my notes here? 1 second. I want to make sure I save that note, because that is actually an interesting thing to follow up on. Okay. This was about Affinity. Let's see. Affinity apps are more for graphic design than drawing, Tio says. Yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree with that. I wish they would add drawing features, but you're right. They're more for like graphic design, absolutely. Even if Affinity putting pressure on Photoshop for illustrations and editing, it isn't putting a dent for drawing. Yeah, I agree, Mir. So, but you know, let's talk about Affinity for a second in terms of the impact. Look, okay, this is me speaking, like, and this is just my biases, right? So let's just start with the company that also charges a lot for its software, Microsoft. And I used to work for Microsoft, remember that. And that will color almost anything I say or do. Microsoft used to sell a product, they still sell it, but like Microsoft Office used to come in a box with some CDs, and it used to be like $500 to buy a version of it. It was expensive, and you couldn't. And $500 in 1990 is a lot of money compared to $500 today. What is today's Microsoft Office experience? You pay about $120 to subscribe to Microsoft 365, or whatever they're calling it, Copilot 365. And what does that give you for $120, $150? That gives you the ability to use like 7 different Office apps. And your account can install that on like something like 4 or 5 different computers and 4 or 5 different mobile devices. So that's like 10 devices. I can look up the exact numbers, okay? And for that money, you can also, it's like a family plan. You can put like 4 or 5 other people on it, okay? And everyone gets this ability to install Office applications on like 4 or 5 computers and 4 or 5 devices. So I'll actually look up the exact details. And there's a reason I'm spending all this time describing this. Let's take a look here. And I'm going somewhere with this. Microsoft 365 subscription. Okay. For personal plans, let's take a look at this. Okay, yeah. So you don't need this one. You just need like this one. It's $130 a year. So up to 6 people, look at this. Each person can use it up 5 devices simultaneously, right? And it includes a terabyte of storage, 1 per person. So if you think about that cost, it's pretty amazing. Okay, and the reason I spent all this time explaining this is I wish Adobe was more like this. Look, I'm not saying 130 is cheap for everybody, but it's better than the 600, 700 I spent a year, right? And it's just too much. So anyway, back to Affinity. I think I like seeing that somebody's putting some price pressure on Adobe. And will Affinity be able to replace Adobe for everybody? No. But it will scare them. It'll scare them. Let me give you an example. It's another Microsoft example. Like Microsoft had at least one attempt, I was part of it, to replace or to add a web-based Office suite. Okay, I talked about it in the last stream, NetDocs. And I was part of the NetDocs team. And then it got canceled. And then I don't think Microsoft it only half-heartedly tried to pursue that again. Maybe it did, maybe there were other failures. But the moment Google Docs appeared, which was free, suddenly we had an Office suite on the web that was highly capable, right? And it was free. And I think that is what, that's the pressure that having this kind of low-cost alternative can create, right? Let's see. Yeah, Hera, it's not a bad deal for a whole year for 6 people, right? So if you have 6 people who want to use Office, it's not much. It's only like $20 a year, right? And you all get something, kind of a lot of something. That's what I think Adobe should do. Let's see, Microsoft 365 is crazy good deal, especially Family Plan. Yes. 1 terabyte is enough to back up whole computers. Absolutely. And let's just suppose you wanted to have, because I'm one human being, right? Let's suppose I wanted 6 terabytes of cloud storage, okay? This actually, you can do that. Because what I would do is I would create like 7 Pens account, okay? 6 different Microsoft accounts. And you can give other Microsoft accounts permission to read and write to your OneDrive, a folder on your OneDrive. So effectively, you can have you can have one account put a terabyte on your own OneDrive, and then also a terabyte on all the other 5 accounts, right? It's amazing. I could see Affinity mainly appealing to freelance designers. Yes. Though, the interesting thing about Adobe is, let me talk about Photoshop specifically. Photoshop is kind of like a thing you have to learn because it's a frame of reference for almost everyone you meet. Like, everyone will think about the words Photoshop uses to describe things and the way the UI is set up and the keyboard shortcuts. So like, and you're going to run into, everybody will know it. So it's a lingua franca, right? And so it's kind of useful to always learn. But maybe it can be displaced. Let's see, Tio says, Affinity will slowly phase out Adobe users. Most Adobe users will still continue to use Adobe due to familiarity, but students, beginners will start with, yeah. And that's got to scare Adobe. That's got to just terrify them, right? Because, at least one theory is that as you start capturing the mind share of younger people starting in the industry, well, they go into the businesses. They go into design studios. Eventually, they make their own businesses, or they become leaders in those spaces. And then they are training other people or promoting the use of the thing they learned when they started, right? So this thing just snowballs. And I don't have the data to back this up, but the thinking goes like this. And again, I'll go back to Microsoft. Let me say something. If you work in an enterprise, meaning a company with over 500 people, like especially a large one, they have IT departments, okay? And IT departments are basically driven by one human emotion, which is paranoia, and 2 actually, paranoia and fear. Okay, they don't want to do anything wrong, and they're terrified of making a mistake, picking the wrong thing. So they're hesitant to adopt new software. Okay, and what happened was, so the legend goes, Microsoft Office was something you could just buy as an individual human, and people started using it at home to do things, and they started getting demands for people, their users, because they were using these documents to have it deployed in their enterprise. And so users can cause this I'm not saying it's a fast change, but it can really cause the change. So yeah, I think it's if they can maintain their pricing model, which is free, this is the chance. This is the one chance they have to really disrupt Adobe's market. And I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I already canceled my Adobe subscription last week after 3 years. I went from Photoshop to Affinity, Premiere to Resolve, After Effects to Fusion. So I don't think I'm mentally there yet. I'm at to cancel my subscription, I would say. I will tell you my Adobe use has changed. I want to talk about how it's changed. Okay. Now, some of you are not going to like what I'm telling you. I just want to make sure you know what I'm going to. First of all, I've been playing around. I've been subscribing to different AI models. And Gemini's one, Microsoft Copilot's one, Grok is one, and there are some. And of course, I subscribe to Adobe. So there are features of Adobe that I have to use. And a great example is when I take photos of a tablet. It's on a table, it's of limited size. So sometimes there's actually, you can see something off the table, or there's some object like a mouse on the table. And I use Photoshop's AI-based remove tool to remove certain objects. Or if I have like a piece of color, what do you call it? A covering, and the covering doesn't go all the way to the edge of the table, and I'll have it extend the covering. So I don't edit the tablet with it, but I edit the environment around the tablet, right? So that's a feature I have to have, and that's technically speaking an AI feature. Okay, so now we jump to the thing that is interesting, that is making me think about how to. So I was watching a video last night, and it was going through different AI things that have been released, and it said something which I realized I'd been doing lately, and I'll try to explain this. Have you ever had a photo that you needed? I don't know. Let's just say you needed the person standing on the beach to be standing in front of, I don't know, a volcano. Okay. If you told lots of AIs, put a volcano behind this person, like replace the background, it would do it, and it would probably get the edges correct, but it would also mess up things. Like the lighting wouldn't look correct, and something would be off about their position. It just wouldn't look correct. And so I found a kind of a weird, I'm sure everyone's discovered this. I use Grok for this. Instead of having the photo modified, I put the photo into Grok Imagine, which makes videos. And I said, like, something to the effect of, a volcano appears behind this person, like, and fills the background. And making the photo a video, which ended up in the place I wanted to go, and then sort of screenshotting that last frame gave better results than just doing that AI swap of the background. So the reason I bring this up is that's another thing, that's these features that are AI based I could see them displacing the way I want to use Photoshop. Okay? I hope that makes sense. Sorry, let's take a look at the comments. Hera says, I actually used Affinity free trial earlier this year to edit some files and to send to a printing company that needs specific vector setting. I didn't need to get Illustrator. Okay, so you had a good experience. I wish Affinity was on Android. Actually, now that you mentioned it, it's only Windows, Mac OS. Is it on iPad? I know it's on Windows and Mac OS. Actually, let me just try this again. Affinity, Wikipedia. I think it'll tell me here. Affinity. Oh gosh, I should. Yeah, I think it's this one. Mac OS, Windows, and iPad. Oh, it's not on Android. Okay, I see. Amit, you're saying their Canva AI can do that? I'll check it out. I will check it out. Let me just put that as a note. And while I'm at it, I should list. Did someone mention it? Let me put this down under new releases here. Affinity and Canva. I'm going to note to myself. Note, try out Canva AI. So yeah, I think AI is going to help me do a lot more editing of photos. I'll give you a classic example where I've tried it actually to like improve the tablets, like upscale, but it creates weird artifacts. But I could see it like helping me create my product shots. that makes any sense. Actually, let me give you a good example of something that someone does, which I really like. And this is actually Brad Colbo. Brad Colbo. So Brad actually has, I think, really cool thumbnails, right? So I would guess it actually takes some real editing to make this work. He has, I think, some colored background to use, like this purple here, but look how nice some of these look, right? And I have one color, a light blue background, which looks okay, but I actually like his. So maybe with these AI tools, I can make my background color change, right? You can tell my thumbnail game is pretty weak, right? Let's see. Tio says, I suspect Affinity may go subscription in the future. Hopefully not. Can't imagine how much money Canvas has to spend to subsidize. Yeah, that's a great point, Tio. It is expensive. It is expensive to have software built. You know, like $1 million will get you about 4 people, 4 software developers, right? Which is not a lot for developing something that is that big. These days, MemoryDraw says, I would be surprised to find that artists using Photoshop for art. Photoshop for art used to be so common around 8 years ago, mostly veteran artists. I still see a lot of people saying they use Photoshop. Now, I think you're right. Well, there's just a lot of inertia, MemoryDraw, about using Photoshop. Photopea is much better for, I've used Photopea, but just for light photo editing. I haven't tried it actually for drawing. It says Affinity 2 is on the iPad, but not the new Affinity. Got it. Affinity not being on Android is sad. Android really lacks graphic design apps that handle typography. But yes, and now with the MovingPad Pro 14, there's a need. There's a need for these apps to be on Android, honestly. Let's see. Ibis Paint. Mir says, I think Ibis Paint can be a great app for illustration. I've only tried it out a couple of times because people asked me to test something. I've never really used Ibis Paint for real. Same with Fire Alpaca. And some other one I can't remember. Medibang, I think, is another one. But yeah, I'm excited for it's a really exciting time, actually. It's a really exciting time. Stella says, most of my classmates, game design, use Krita and some CSP. And Procreate. Okay. I think CSP, for me, is like the ideal app. Krita is like... I don't know how to describe Krita. It's really... It's like... it's technically amazing, but I prefer the way CSP thinks about things, the UI. I just want an Infinity Canvas app on Android like Leonardo. Let me just, I know some of you mentioned this before, Leonardo app. Create with Leonardo. Is this it? You don't mean this, right? Veronica saw the video. Well, yeah, she did great work. I thought it was amazing what I saw. Let's see. Medibang equals Fire Alpaca. It's the same app? Or is Medibang derived from Fire Alpaca in some way? It's a pretty good app, simple to learn and use, many drawing tools. I'll check it out. Let me just note that down as well. I'll put that down as a live stream idea. Try Medibang and try Fire Alpaca. Maybe I'll do that as a back-to-back stream. I like trying out different things live. Concepts has yes, Concepts is good. I like Concepts a lot, too. CSP is an industry standard program that's also very... Yes, I think it's a good deal. I know some people think it's a little too expensive, but I think it's a fantastic deal, right? And then it has some... it's probably its only criticism price-wise for me is you can get a perpetual license for like computers, but not for mobile devices. If you got that, it would be perfect. Leonardo by Tengen, very nice concept. Unfortunately, has essentially solo dev on it and been a while since the last update. By Tengen, let's see, Leonardo by Tengen. Tengen? It's confusing this with Ninja Turtles. It's concepts is like vector, Meow. Henning Tengen. Okay, you must mean this. Oh, sorry. Let me show you what I'm showing here. Let me put this in my list of things to try on stream. Leonardo. Let's take a quick look at it. No worries. Thank you, Carlo, for clarifying. Okay, so they have a Windows, but not Mac. Okay, I'll try streaming on Windows. And how much does it cost? Not expensive. Let's take a quick look at it. Leonardo. It's gonna be interesting what it'll return. Leonardo drawing app. Yeah, here we go. Let's take a look. This is recent. I know you can't hear. Actually, this shouldn't have any music in it, so I will let this play. Okay, let me turn off my sound effects. Let's see.
New file. Sluggish beast of a program. And unfortunately, Leonardo does not have a time-lapse feature, so I have to manually record any work that I do, which I have been doing. Artists and people who just want to do fun work in here. It has a smooth brush feature, so by default, there is stabilization on the brush. But you can do smooth, which really increases the stability. And then there's like this weird, it's really hard to see. Your lines almost kind of glow a little bit with
that
this
was a
red
nice
tail.
smooth.
So that just smooths out the brush
zoom.
even more, even though it already feels really good. So our brushes are ink. So we have an ink brush, just a basic round brush with size pressure. Has all the same tools you'd come to expect from a drawing program. So I can select something, press Ctrl T, instantly I get transform tools like this. We have a basic pencil. Not gonna lie, I don't really like the look of this brush. Marker, calligraphy, good sketching brush. And again, all these brush options have their own, you know, pressure sensitivity. You can adjust the pressure curves for these things, right?
Did you see that? I really like that right there, what he did. What the UI was doing. Like, I like that the brush had the pressure curve immediately available. If I can get back to that UI for a second. That was actually really cool to see that. I forgot where it was. But yeah, just you could drop down the brush and see the pressure curve right there. That was useful because I changed the pressure curve a lot. And I talk about pressure curves a lot. Let's see if there's any other features.
Canvas operates. Here's where you can set your min and max zoom out. So right now my max zoom out is, it can be HSL. You can even alt. It's pretty substantial for the.
Okay, I like the UI. I really do. So I will absolutely check it out. Thanks for that suggestion. I think that was that Mir who suggested it? Or someone else? I'm always up for trying different apps. When, back in the mid-90s, the only app you could really draw with was Fractal Design Painter, and then they were they were having, I think, financial difficulties. So for a while there, I was actually scared that we would not have a drawing app, because no one had drawing tablets back then. Like, I was one of the very few people who had one. So much so that in the 90s, so like so at work I had my Wacom in 202 and in 203. People would come to my office and they would ask me what that was, because I wouldn't use a mouse. I would use my drawing tablet as a mouse. Nowadays, people understand what drawing tablets are because they see iPads, so they kind of like can extrapolate pretty easily what's happening with a thing that doesn't have a screen. But it was very unusual. It was so rare. And so I really find it interesting that now that it's, while not everyone has a drawing tablet, drawing apps are prevalent. Like, there's just a ton of them out there. I like that a lot. Okay, let me get to, since I'm answering people's buying questions, a ton of these are happening on Reddit. So I'm going to focus on any questions people are having that are related to. For drawing on Windows and Mac, to be fair, a lot of people underestimate Krita a lot as well. Although it can be daunting on how it provides its features, it can be hard. Yeah, there's things Krita does which I think are part of its UI philosophy, and it's consistent in itself, but it's like, it makes it harder for me to deal with. So my biggest example is, and this may have changed, but I remember it was hard for me to, I'll give you the simplest example actually, of where I think Krita does something weird. Or at least, and tell me if there's a way to do it. In Clip Studio Paint, the eraser is a brush. It's a specific brush, okay? And in Clip Studio Paint, you can press E, you'll switch the brush, or hold down E, and you'll temporarily switch the brush as long as the E key is held, okay? So Clip Studio Paint knows that there's a thing called erasing, okay? Whereas Krita, as far as I can tell, you have a brush that you can draw with, but also you can erase with that brush. And that seems very similar. But for example, I might have a brush that I'm drawing that has a ragged edge or a smooth edge, like a kind of a fuzzy edge. But I want my eraser to have a straight edge, a smooth, straight edge. And so to me, those are different settings, right? The eraser has its own world, and my drawing brushes, each one has its own world. But with Krita, it's not like that. Like, you can erase with the brush you have. Okay, that's part one. Part two is, at least the way I remember it, I couldn't find an easy built-in way to assign a hotkey to a specific brush, which irritated the heck out of me, okay? So that was my issue with Krita. And it's a subtle thing. And again, my information may be a bit old. Carlo, that sounds similar to erasing using transparent color on the current. Yeah. So you can do it with CSP, but CSP has just a different brush for this. So Harris says, one of my favorite features in CSP is having transparent color, so I can use the brush as an eraser, or use the erasers. Yeah, exactly, Hera. Like, I can have the option pretty easy. Okay, I need to take care of something, so I'll be right back in just 1 minute, okay? Okay, I'm back. I am back. Let's see. Lots of comments here. Mir says, I do use a separate brush for erasing. It is possible. I can show you when I'm... Okay, I'd like to see that. Meow says, with Krita you press E, it only enables erasing mode. Yeah, which is the same brush but erases. If you flip pen to eraser, you get a different eraser. In CSP, you can also switch color to transparent and erase that way. Yeah, I just prefer to use a different brush entirely because my erasing needs are typically different than my drawing needs. Like they have different sizes. That's probably the best example of all. I will draw with fine lines, but I tend to erase with a bigger eraser. So like, I got to switch to a tool that has a bigger size, right? So just turning on erasing mode wouldn't help me. Yeah, it's good we're having this discussion because it clarified in my mind why it is I like a different brush for a specific eraser as opposed to a mode. Though I understand the benefit of a mode. I totally get it. And to bind to a brush, you need to use the 10 brushes plugin. Well, that's the thing. Binding a key to... Okay, let's just take that topic here because that's a good one. That's important to be able to bind a key to a brush. That's how my toolbox works. You have to bind a key to a brush. Maybe they have in the toolbox have some special mode for Krita where you don't need to bind the key to a brush. But since it is so basic, why should there be a plugin, even if the plugin comes in with the app to do it? You see what I'm getting at? Like, I shouldn't have to use a plugin. It should just be available by default, right? Because when I draw, I'm switching between, I'll try to say the equivalent. What you would say a G pen or a milli pen, meaning just a fixed width brush, and the eraser and the airbrush. So those are basically that's my world for when I illustrate. Eraser, G pen, just what do you call it? Milli pen is what CSP calls it, and then airbrush. Those are my tools, right? So I just need to switch between them quickly. Let's see. Mir says I do use it like that. I set Q for eraser, E as the transparency. Yeah, I'm just saying the script shouldn't. Sorry. Let's open up Krita because I think this will help clarify my own thinking here. So actually, I was on Reddit the other day, and what the heck? Why can't I move this? Sorry, Krita is stuck. Oh, I see. Cancel. Stuck on this window. Okay, so Krita. Let me just open up something else. I want to show you this. Someone got in trouble on Reddit. Someone posted a Reddit post yesterday that said they got in trouble at work because of Krita. I want to show you what happened. So when they started Krita, right, this splash screen came up. This specific image came up, or some version of this. Now this is Kiki, I believe, the cyber squirrel. I don't know why they do it, but it's the cyber squirrel. So I think it may alternate between Kiki, cyber squirrel, right? And yeah, I think it was probably was this one because he mentioned it was very blue. So basically, his manager or her manager called him into the office, and they said, "Oh, someone's been complaining that you're playing games at work," because they saw this cyber squirrel girl there, and that's one of the things I think Krita should change. They should not have this kind of slightly risque image because at work, if it comes up, it can actually get you in trouble, right? It'd be better to have a more neutral image. I hate to say this, but a less fun image. Okay, but the reason I brought this up was actually for Krita. So let's create a new thing here. And Michael says, though I love in Leonardo that control is hold key for eraser. Hold key for eraser, much better than having to click anything, just hold. Oh, so you hold it down? The moment that Tegan finishes the next update that is spanning multiple years, full rewrites to the current code base, find things like custom brushes would genuinely make Leonardo. Okay, I'm really curious about this app, honestly. Okay, let's create. Okay, so if in this world, I would switch between. So they have a brush like painting, and I have this, and someone's saying there's a 10 script. Okay, so let's just go find. God darn it. Where is it? 10 brushes. Okay, let's see. Control Alt 1 2 3. Okay. This is good. Let's see. So, how do I even do this? Control Alt 1. I don't even understand how this works here. Oh, I see. Okay, so I click this like that. I get it. Okay, so for me, I would do this one. I would do this one. I would do the airbrush. And I would do the eraser. Okay, so now let's do it. Maybe it's solved for me. Maybe. Where's my pen? Hang on. Okay, brush tool cannot paint on a vector layer. Okay, great. Let's create a new normal layer, paint layer. Okay, so Control Alt 1, 2. Oops. It's not switching. It's not switching between. It may be because the keyboard I'm using is a Mac. Or sorry, it's a Mac device with a Windows keyboard. Control Alt. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. Okay, that was helpful to do. I think I will tweak my criticism then. I just find this not. I like the UI. I do. I really like this UI that is present. Not this one. Sorry. I like. Sorry, I'm clicking. I like this UI. I like the idea of being able to clearly see which shortcuts are mapped. That's cool. I approve of this. Okay. The problem is, as a clip user or any user, the idea that I would search under tools, scripts, and this thing that says 10 brushes. In other words, what would, and I realize once you know this, you never have to learn this, right? It's like if someone has to tell you, but like you would not discover this on your own. Like even if you were looking for this, if you're looking for assigned shortcuts to keys, is this what you'd think about looking at? Tools, scripts, 10 brushes, would that be, right? So could this be fixed? Yeah. Like, first of all, this could say something more descriptive, like brush hotkeys or 10 brush hotkeys. And then also, all I'm saying is under settings, they should, or wherever, there should be something like, let me just go to settings. Where the heck is it? Is it under preferences? Yeah, like you would expect to see it here. You see what I'm getting at? You'd expect to see it under keyboard shortcuts because that's what you know you're doing. That's what's called in the rest of the world, right? So that's my criticism. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna quit complaining now. But I still can't figure out how to switch. It's not, again, it could be because of the keyboard. Control Shift Alt 1, Control Alt 1. Yeah, nothing's switching it actually. Oh, maybe this is. Wait, maybe. I'm trying every combination I can think of to make this work. By the way, on the keyboard, it's not working. If someone knows, let me know. Hey, Brushoid, good to see you. Is it control? That's what it says, but I'm pressing it. Let me make sure my keyboard is. It's on Mac OS. I'm gonna switch it to Windows for a second to see if this will work. Oh, I see. I see. Okay. I had to press buttons I was not predicting to press. In fact, it's hard for you to press the button. Okay, so let me try this on the normal Mac OS mode. Okay. I had to press not control, but like Alt and Command, or whatever the two things are to the right of, and then it worked. Okay, so I think I will retract some of my complaints about Krita. I can see that that's useful actually. That is actually useful. And of course it created more paint layers. Let's see. One ink fine liner cannot. Let's try this again. Fine liner, so G pen or whatever. Fine liner, airbrush, and erase. Okay, this is better. Now I am a little more productive in Krita, so I'm gonna take this as a note to myself to note, add 10 scripts to Krita Doc. And when I say Krita Doc, let me show you what I'm talking about. So, besides tablets on my website, so let me just show it here. Under like apps, right? I have a list of apps for beginners, for iPad, for Android, and I have a full list. And so this is the full list. I'll show you what I'm talking about. For Krita, I actually... I should have notes actually. Here, let me see if I can find it. Okay, I guess that is the notes. Krita. Yeah, so what I'll do, oh, there's the notes. I just have some comments about it. So I'll add that link about 10 scripts, because if I'm struggling with it, lots of people are going to be struggling with it who are new. Yeah, Meow says, yes, you need to read the documentation to use Krita fully. You know, as much as I talk about reading, I'm just like a lot of people. I don't read everything. I just want to use it. Hera's, you're right. Drawing software needs search functions. And does Krita even have that search function? I don't see it anywhere, at least. The truth is that drawing apps get so complicated. Like, I don't know. I'm always fantasizing there's a way to rationalize what they do to have less UI, and I'm looking for that perfect nirvana. I never found it. Control Enter. Let's try that. Control Enter. Oh, I see. Okay, for me it was Command Enter on Mac. Whoops. Is that right? It was working a second. Oh, there we go. Okay, that was useful. You can also rebind 10 brushes and settings to something else than Control Alt. Got it, got it. 3 polygons. I found long ago that Krita flexibility is immense, but needs its time. Yeah. Another thing Krita needs is vector layers, the way Clip does them, which Clip has the best vector layers in the industry, I think. RF Sketch, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. I love Krita and CSP. I do think CSP can feel... Well, yeah, that is a fair criticism of CSP. That is absolutely a very fair criticism of CSP. I need Clippy. Hey, speaking of which, I just wanted to show you something which, I don't know. I'm not sure if it made me angry or something, but it was funny. So, Microsoft Myco. M-I-C-O. Okay. So, let me just show you this picture here. So when you use Copilot, you can enable this character, okay, called Myco, and Myco will appear. Now you're seeing its mouth move. So I want to just tell you a few things. This thing will animate a little bit, and its mouth is moving, but it's not like it cannot speak to you. It actually can't even. It doesn't even. It's not a companion. It can't It's not doing things for you. It's just reacting to you. So it's even less useful than Clippy. Though it's pretty, I guess, but it's also kind of strange in that it's this amorphous glowing blob, right? So I'm not sure if I'm super impressed with this. It doesn't seem like it doesn't really add anything. It's just kind of there, right? Versus, I gotta be careful because this can get a bit wild. Grok. I'm scared to look at images because what might be seen. Grok has an actual companion, right? At least on iOS, the Grok app on iOS, you get a companion. This is Ani, A-N-I, and she actually talks to you, right? And she's, I'm not going to show Annie for you because she gets too flirtatious. For example, you can be talking to her about something and she will divert the conversation into a kind of she can divert it into a kind of flirtatious. And you know what she's wearing? You can change what she's wearing. There's different outfits for. I'm just going to take a look at it because people will not believe me if I don't do it. Grok companion Ani, and she's animated. She's not a static image, and she will move around and twirl and things. It's a little intense. Yeah, this is actually a good example of what she will wear. This is what she's wearing, okay? And you can so it's a little much, right? Now they're different companions. She's not the only one, and they're more child-friendly companions. And you can, I think you can change a setting so she won't engage in flirtatious behavior. But it's a little wild. It's a little wild that this is what's there. Anyway, whether or not you like the idea of Annie, my point is she's very interactive with you. She is the Grok voice, right? Whereas the Myco for Microsoft is just very abstract and is just there to watch you. It doesn't interact with you really. So what's interesting is even though you can, you don't have to look at Annie, you can actually just talk. And so occasionally, I do subscribe to Grok for AI. I've asked Annie to summarize the news headlines for the day, right? She does an okay job. It's not great, but it's it's interesting to take a walk in my neighborhood and have her summarize the news, and I might ask her something. Let's see. I can imagine begrudging developers having to implement these things for some project manager. I think this is what we got. And there are other companions. There are other companions. This is going to get some backlash. Yeah. Yeah, I can be. Yeah, she can. She's interesting. Yeah, you're right, Three Belgons. And it's such a typical safe play for Microsoft. You can't have a human because someone's going to complain that they don't look like them. You can't have it be flirty, because that's going to be a problem. You can't have it be humanoid, because that would create, people would create screenshots and do all. Oh, look at this. People are going to create screenshots of Annie like this, right? Or Ani. Her name's Ani. Sorry, not Annie. And so like, you can't have the thing react to you, and like you can't have it react to what you're saying and like repeat it back, because then it might say, you might say something bad and it would repeat it, and then that'd be recorded, and then like if you remember Microsoft Tay, it'd be that problem all over again. The blob is cute. That's a sad thing. I wanted to use it, and I wanted it to like interact with me with its own cute voice, but it doesn't. It's just like watching you, and it's like smiling and looking at you. It's just it's weird, right? Every time I think of Grok, I remember the sad Stalker Gamma lead dev that had to change their nick from Grok to Grok Attack. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Does everyone know, although I really don't want to train AI. Well, we're training it all the time, apparently. Everyone knows where the word Grok comes from, right? Grok? Tell me if you know. Because I didn't realize people don't know the origin of that word, which is funny. Okay, I'm just gonna do one more thing. I just want you to see. People are probably wondering. Hang on, Annie, their outfits. I just want to show you this. So yeah, this is what Annie wears. So thanks, Elon. So you see what I'm getting at here? This is what Annie wears. Or Ani, sorry, I keep messing up. There's other things that are more covered. Okay, GROK. It's not an acronym. There's a book called Stranger in a Strange Land in the 60s or 50s by a guy named Robert Heinlein. That's the same guy who wrote the book Starship Troopers, by the way. And in the book, there's a guy whose name is Michael Valentine. He's a human, but he was part of a colony on Mars of humans, and they all died except him. And Michael is raised by Martians. They're very strange, and they've got like psychic powers, I guess. And then let's see. And then Michael. So the Martians, their word for drinking water, actually, grok, literally means to take a drink of water, because water is very scarce on Mars, so it's very special. But in short, grok means to understand very deeply. Okay? So I didn't realize this. I thought everyone knew the word grok, but I've said it to people, and people are like, what are you talking about? It's a very famous sci-fi word. If you read older sci-fi novels, like, do you grok this? You would say something. I've said that to people at Microsoft, and again, it gets less understood over the time. Yeah, very she's covered up. I mean, it's not. She's covered up. I mean, maybe not at this very second, but and she's not always. Look, she's got other outfits that aren't. Some of these people are drawing. They're not. These aren't the actual outfits, but this is an actual outfit. I've seen that one. Anyway, I should take off Annie from the stream. I have Annie much more covered up than anything I've shown you, by the way. There's one where she's completely covered up. I have her in that one. Anyway, my point was, let's see, Carlo made a comment. Elon did all this to have his own version of the Shinigami girl from Death Note. Okay, I don't know what that means, but I'm going to type it in. Should I be scared of typing it in? Shinigami girl from Death Note. Okay, I got to be careful. Is this the person you're... I don't know. I don't know if Shinigami is a name of a style or a person. I suppose you mean this person. Misa? I guess. Let's try this. Hey, she does actually look kind of like Ani. Yeah, that is actually okay. I could see why you say that. Yeah. Carl, that's what I'm afraid of. Yeah, Carla. Something might show up in Google, and I wouldn't want that. Though we escaped anything too bad. Misa Amane. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that okay. I've never seen Death Note. I don't even know what's about. I've never seen it. Okay. While we're waiting for, I'll get back to what I was trying to do. Grok Companion reminds me of Chinese audio companies that are adding anime girls on headphones box, part of Chinese. Who would have guessed that our culture would be just completely, anime girls would be part of culture? I would never have guessed it would be to this extent. Hera says, Death Note is great. One of my favorites. And that's what, like someone has a notebook and they write somebody's name and that person gets killed somehow. I think that's what happens. Oh, where's Reddit? The purpose of the stream was to help people buy things. So I'm just gonna make sure people are having. I'll focus on people who have buying advice. Canvas Pro 16 or Wacom Cintiq 2025. I would just tell this person, I have both. Definitely recommend. I recommend the Wacom Cintiq 16 2025. Just I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I try to write up some notes on why on the Cintiq 16 2025 and the 24-inch version. But in the meanwhile, here's my stream on. Well, I did stream an unboxing and testing video. So let me just tell this person about that. YouTube. Where's live? Let me type in. Oh, look. Ani is part of the thumbnail for the stream. That's cool. That's going to be interesting. Let's see. Share. Copy. And I did a Q&A live stream. So let's make sure they know about that one too. Share. Let's see. Rain, is this question about Turbox to me or to someone else? And thanks for joining the stream. Carlos says, I'm satisfied with my iPad. Hang on a second. The Discord, Haynim has, yeah, he's discovered that thumbnail. Great. Okay, you know what? That's what I want. I want a virtual companion. Instead of VTubing, I want a virtual companion that you can see on screen that will help me do the live stream. Let me see if I can set that up, actually. I'm going to see if I can get Ani, a safe for work version of Ani, to do the live stream with me when I talk about tablets. Maybe she'll help me discover stuff. We'll see. Maybe it'll work. Because that would be interesting, right? You see me like sorry, let me put my face here. You could see me like on this part of the screen, and then Ani's like on this part. Or, again, some companion. It's kind of like, I don't watch the show, but Joe Rogan, he's always asking somebody named Jamie to like bring something up or look something up. That's what I want. So far, I'm satisfied with my iPad and XP Pen, but if I had to say, let's buy something in the future, I'd probably go splurge on something like a 24, 27 inch. I guess right now, in my mind, what I'm thinking is, which does not work, but here's my idea. I would want my Cintiq 24 right in front of me, and then as I'm on the go, I'll have my Moving Pad Pro 14, and I'm drawing, and I want to be able to plug in the moving pad into the Cintiq, so that I'm drawing on the Cintiq, but it's the moving pad that's really the computer, right? They could do it, and if they could do that, then it's sort of like I just need less devices. So that would be my idea. I agree with your advice, Hera. If you're having a good experience with a brand, stick with that brand. And the reason I say that is there's a couple of reasons for that. Let's start with Wacom. Okay, if you're used to the way, and especially if you have a Wacom Intuos Pro or a tablet that uses lots of Wacom pens which have really low IAF and high maximum pressure, if you switch to another brand, you might be very disappointed with the pens. So that's just one reason to stay with Wacom if you already use Wacom. Now, what if you start with Huion and XP Pen? Again, you're going to adjust to a different pen, maybe, but the difference shouldn't be as drastic as Wacom. And then also you have to adjust to a different driver, and they're implemented differently. And some people find that the XP Pen driver is more stable, and some people find that the Huion is more stable. And the other thing is, if you install both drivers that are different, like Wacom and Huion, any mixed drivers cause problems, okay? So I agree with that general advice. Stay with the brand you're in. Now, one exception to this is if you want to switch to Wacom, especially a Pro, then you'll certainly get a better pen, but you still have to have only one driver. Let's live fact check Ani's tablet knowledge. Yes, we can do that. Absolutely. Yes, 3 polygons. That's what I would do. I would actually talk to Ani and have her make comments on the stream. Ani has to remind you when you forget to show us the screen. That's interesting. Could she see? You know what? So first of all, Ani is only on I talked to her like a real person for a second. I'm talking about her like a real person. She's only on the iPhone, which is, by the way, I want to reveal something to you. This is my Samsung S24 Ultra, which I actually use as a phone. I've had this for 3 or 4 weeks, the iPhone. Was it Pro 17 Max? I still have not transferred my, my phone plan to this. So it's just acting like a tablet. It just uses Wi-Fi. So I'm not even sure if I want to do that anymore. But anyway, I think I can do this. I think I can have like a stand and have, so that Ani is, so I'll have a cable connected here. So I see her and you'll see her. And then so you'll see both of us. And I think she can use the cameras. So I think your idea would actually work, Rain, that she could make comments on what's actually being seen. I'll check that one out. I'll check this. That is a good experiment. AI can get unpredictable on live though. Yeah, I would definitely. There's a setting to turn off not safe for work stuff with Ani, because again, she does get weirdly flirtatious. I studied German a lot a long time, or for a year and a half or something. So I wanted to see if Ani could like do a lesson for me to refresh my memory on certain things. So I had her, I can't even remember. It was like things you would say to like get a table at a restaurant and order food. And then as this went on, she's just getting more and more suggestive to the point where I was like, how did we get to this topic, right? It was actually like, I would not want that to happen on stream. And I agree with you, Bug on Cintiq 24 is quite nice. The one thing I've been using a fair bit on the iPad is Barrel Roll. I got to play around with that. And I got to do that. Let me just write down the note. I got to do that video. I want to do so this is Monday on 2025, 11/3. Create barrel roll video. It should be should not be hard to make. I built a special tool to simulate barrel roll. It's a shame shame that's not a feature for the other rivals of drawing tablets. Wacom had the art pen, but that's kind of dead now. Can't be found. Yeah, we know that Huion, I guess, has a patent for barrel roll. Hopefully Wacom will bring it back because lots of people need it, right? If she can read screens, it can get risky. Yes. Snow Leopard, XP Pen or Huion. I want to get a new tablet, but I don't know which was the best of two. Okay, we can answer your question. So first of all, if you can get a screen tablet and a screen loosen, get the same brand. Okay. Second, what's your budget, and how big a tablet do you need? And once we know the budget and the size, we can give you better. We can match them up better for you. Right, but if you want the best, it's still Wacom, honestly. But yeah, just let us know the size you want, size, budget, and what's important to you. Like, we need to know especially if low IAF is important, because if it is, then that really constrains the choices. Okay, let me get back to. Okay, so this person's asking a good question. Does it need screen protection? Does it have any film installed? How to connect it to the PC? How many cables do I need to connect? Okay. So let me just answer. Film. It does not have film. Does not have film. Screen protection. Lots of people use it. You can't see it when I'm typing, of course. People use it without. Protection. Lots of people, including me. Protection. If you need a screen protector, you can get a third-party one. See, I have like every time I say, I have a page for everything. Because I hate having to retype answers all the time. Screen protector, just for pen displays. Copy, and then this. Which reminds me, I need to do a video on do you need a screen protector? Because people ask that all the time. And my answer is, I guess it would be you don't, but if you're concerned about it or you're very certain you're going to hurt your tablet, you get one. I don't use screen protectors, honestly. I won't take them off a tablet that has one, but I don't normally get one. So if you have advice on screen protectors, let me know, because I'm curious on that. Let's answer this person. Sorry, a different question. How does it connect to your PC? Okay, so I can help this person. Let me just bold this. Let's see. How do you connect? The easiest way is to say Wacom. I think it's DTK168 is the model. There should be a getting. Oh, that's it. Why is this page in Spanish? I didn't want that because I cannot read Spanish. Hello. It's like, no, you're getting Spanish. Let's try changing it to ENUS. Okay, there we go. Getting started. Let's see, where is it? Cintiq. Okay, so I'm going to take a screenshot of this for this person. And just put it in there. Connecting. Actually, I'll give them the link to the page. See the diagrams towards the bottom of this page. Okay. Tio says screen protectors on top of matte glass is not necessary. Glass is hard. Fingernails can scratch. Screen protectors, not glass. I agree with you, Tio. Here's the thing that I think we've been talking about in the Discord is there are some people who have reported to me that they have scratched the glass. Now, this gets a little confusing because not everyone is clear on what is glass and plastic. So some people, okay. But it does seem to appear that some people have scratched the actual glass of their tablets. We have struggled to figure out how that's possible because the glass is pretty hard. There's been a couple of theories. I'll just say what the theories are. One is that tiny bits of very hard material, like, get stuck in the plastic of the nib and that scratches, okay? Another theory is that, and it's kind of related, is that particulate matter, like tiny pieces of metal, are in the air, land on the tablet, and then your nib moves them around, that scratches it. We've had one person say that they worked in an environment, like an industrial environment, where there's lots of like particulate pieces of metal, and that all their screens on their devices got scratched up. Now, it was not entirely clear if that person had screens that were covered in matte film or not, right? But I totally hear your point. You shouldn't need it, but we do see people getting their glass scratched, right? For example, on the Huion subreddit a couple of weeks ago, someone just somehow scratched their Canvas Pro 19, which does not have a matte film, right? It is just glass. So we know what happens. I don't think it happens for most people, but it does happen. That's why I say you shouldn't need a protector, but if you're paranoid about it, or if you have a history of doing it for your own peace of mind, it might be good just to get a screen protector, right? For a screen, even though typically you wouldn't need it. That's what I'd say to people. Let's see. For me, these films are useful when the glare is too bad. Anti-glare filters more than for protection. If one is not too hard. Yeah. And that's why a company like Photodon is interesting, because they have different levels of that anti-glare treatment. You can have no anti-glare treatment, or you can have a lot of anti-glare treatment, right? Actually, and I ordered a sample pack of the Photodon plastic, and I tried it. Though I should probably try it again because it's been a while. Let's see. Jaggi says screen protectors are crucial if you plan to sell your tablet afterward. The price will drop a bit. That's a great point. And let me copy both Tio's answer and yours. And let me paste that in because I hadn't considered the resale, right? So yeah, some people are very paranoid. I don't blame them, like, because once you scratch, that's it. You got that scratch forever, right? Now, I'm going to show you a video just so everyone knows how difficult it is to scratch this, okay? And I've shown this before, but I think it deserves watching. We're going to show David Revoy. I hope I say his name. He's French. Revoy, and it's Canvas Pro 19. Okay, I want people to see this because it's a bit wild. Okay. So this is actually
Hello,
to
in this
Tio's
video
point.
you'll learn everything I discovered about the Huion Canvas Pro 19. And I tested a lot of things on this device. I measured heat, I tried to scratch it.
So you see that? He actually tries to scratch. I'm going to show you the scratching because he doesn't even... Here it is. Watch this. This is the Canvas Pro 19. Someone in the Huion subreddit actually scratched this device, but take a look what David did, okay?
It's a taste. I then decided to test the hardness of the overlay surface, and I was ready to sacrifice a little corner of my device. But the test was a success because each time I successfully scratched, or I thought I was scratching the device, I could just remove it with the little piece of fabrics, showing that the overlay surface was stronger than the metal that I used. So it's a sign of high durability, and I really like that.
Okay, so that
The
was interesting,
case-
right? Like it actually... Now, I have never done this with my tablets because I just don't want to see them scratched. But it's an interesting test. I'm glad he did it. And let me just make sure I save that as well. David Revoy. Right? But once you get a scratch, you no longer have to live in fear. That's true. That's true. That's actually a terrific point. Once you get that, it's true. Once you get that first scratch, you don't have to. At least 3 polygons. At least that one. That's the other thing. We don't know. Like we don't know if the same glass is applied to all other devices from Huion. So that's why it's hard for some features of tablets. It's really hard to say, oh, this is true for all of that brand, right? Yeah, and RF, like seeing the box cutter was crazy. Like, now I can't say how hard he was scratching, but it seems like he was actually scratching, but nothing happened, right? But again, we have seen people scratch it, right? We have seen people. In fact, I'll bet you I can go right now to the Huion subreddit and find that case of someone scratching the screen. And let's see, because let's just type in 19 and scratch, right? Right here, Canvas 27 Pro, right? Which does not have film, but look at this. There's an actual scratch on this device. Now, let's see. Maybe it was a case of it left that little trail, but he could have just wiped it away. In fact, I linked to David Revoy's video. And this person says, oh no, I'm not really sure what did it. Okay, they never got back to me. Actually, you know what? I'm going to reply to this person and say, hey, whatever. Just catching up on this topic. What happened? Surely happened with your tablet. Did you replace it? Let's just see what he... Did you replace it? See? And this was some months ago, but there was one more recently as well. So again, it happens. Scratches do happen. You're right, Tio. It is pretty hard. That's why it's been a mystery to me why we see these scratches, right? And that's an expensive tablet, right? That's an expensive tablet. Axel Mixup. Hey, sorry, been reading the guide. I wonder if you had any notes on Pro 22 Gen 2 versus Cintiq 24. Axel Mixup. I assume you're talking about the Cintiq 24 2025 edition. Leaning to XP as it's more than half. It's more than half the cost. But if Wacom's that much better, they're willing to pay. There's two. Okay, so there's a couple of things I would ask. Number one, have you used a Wacom tablet before or not? That will actually affect my answer. Okay. So while I'm waiting, let me talk about the Pro 22 Gen 2. I actually really like the tablet. I own the tablet. I've used it. In fact, of the Gen 2 series, it's my favorite of the XP Pen Artist Pro Gen 2. Okay. And Axel, have you used a Wacom tablet before? So if you haven't, easily I would say the XP Pro 22 Gen 2 is a great choice. It's absolutely a great choice. Okay. If you have used a Wacom before, especially if you had a Pro Pen 2, the Pro Pen that comes with the Cintiq has a lower IAF. Okay. Now, of these two, which is the better tablet? Cintiq 24, because it has a better pen. But the Pro 22 from XP Pen is a great choice. I would say one thing, because it only comes with one pen, get two pens. Like, order an extra pen for it, okay? An X3 Pro pen. That's right, 3 Polygon. Even if you use a pen tablet to us, if you have that low IAF, you want to be careful because you're used to it. And jumping to a higher IAF pen is very disturbing for people. Let's see, Snow Leopard. Well, I was planning to get a 22-inch, a 19-inch pen display with a medium or large screen tablet. Okay. So here's what I'm going to tell you what I think would work good for you. It's actually very similar to what we were talking about with. Okay, can you tell us? Yeah, we need to know which tablet, Axel. But for 3 polygons, what's going to fit really good in your budget is we'll just do it right now. Okay, let's show you. So we're going to go to XP Pen, Artist Pro 22. We could easily fit your budget, easily. Okay. Let's go here. Since you want two things, okay? So it's the Artist Pro 22 Gen 2, which is right here. Right? Which is, let me take a little screenshot here. So that's $550. Okay. This is for Snow Leopard. Leopard. So that's $550. And then if you want a tablet to go with it, let's just talk about the larger one because that's the maximum size, right? I would say the Deco Pro Gen 2. And let's just do the buy now so we have the exact price. United States. So we want the XLW. Okay, that's the largest one. And right now it's $150. Okay. Now, you could get a Wacom thing, but it would cost way more than this. The Wacom price wouldn't fit into your budget at all, okay? Because the equivalent Wacom device here would be like $1,000 something. Like, we'll take a look at it for a second. Wacom Cintiq 24, which is an excellent tablet, but it's like it would blow past your budget pretty. Yeah, it's $1,300, something like that. Okay, let's just take a look at it. Oh, let's take a look. Yeah, the Wacom it's clearly out of your budget. Don't get me wrong, it's a better experience, but it's much more, even the pen is much more expensive, right? So I would recommend, again, you get these two. So this is like, let's just say it's $550. So this will be $700 total to get these two tablets. And I like both of them, okay? And this is the XLW. So you get this is a large tablet, okay? Just, it's huge, right? You can get the medium one too, but just be aware, be aware of how much size it is on your desk. And just to help with size, here's what I'd recommend you do. Let me show you. Oops, you can't see what I'm showing. You cannot see what I'm showing, I'm sorry. So Artist Pro 22 Gen 2, 550, Deco Pro Gen 2, basically 150, okay? To figure out the size on your desk, here's what I'd recommend you do. I'm gonna type in the word cardboard. Simulating a tablet size with cardboard. Cut it out. Not cut it out, not like stop it, cut it out. More like cut out a piece of cardboard that matches the interior, like just matches the overall dimensions, right? Not just the interior part. And put it in front of you to simulate the size of the 22. And then put a smaller, the XLW size. You can get the specs from the XP Pen website. You'll see how much space it takes, okay? One by Wacom Medium plus Huion. Well, the problem with that 3 polygons is the mixed driver problem, right? Because the drivers are going to interfere. That's the problem, right? It's a great choice. Like if they work together, that would be great. But the drivers are going to interfere. That's why it would be difficult to do that. But the Huion 19 Pro is not cheap. So let me 19 Pro. Let's take a look at how expensive it is. Okay, the Huion Canvas 19 Pro is basically $900. Let's just say $950. Okay. So let's take a look at what was the Wacom price? It was basically $350 more. So if you're interested in this Huion Canvas Pro and you didn't need touch, the Cintiq 2025 edition would be a decent choice. Yeah, the IF is quite different. The IF is quite different. Axel makes stuff. So let me just write this down for you. Basically, now I'm not good at measuring IF, but I'll tell you the measurement Cube has, okay? He measures the Pro Pen 2 IF as less than 1 gram force, okay? This is Cube's number. I'm not good at doing this. Cube's number. Okay, and he's a very good at measuring this. And he measures the max pressure as like about 800 gram force, okay, which is good. That's an excellent large max pressure. Okay, now the X3 Pro Pen has an IF I measure of basically 3 gram force. Okay, this is 7 pens number. Let me write this next line, okay? And a max, sorry, this should say PP2 of max. It varies between like 250 to 500, something like that, okay? So these pens are okay. They're basically good to great in terms of max pressure, whereas the Pro Pen 2 is better. So you have to keep that into mind. You have to keep that in mind because trust me, going from low IF to high IF pen you may not really like it because you're going to notice you're pressing down harder. Okay. That being said, I'll be honest. I'm able to make this transition with so they shouldn't say 4, should say 3. To me, I don't even notice this lower IF of the Pro Pen 2. Like, if I really try, yeah, I can notice. But in practice, I don't notice the difference. Like, I'm totally fine with each one. Like, I'll notice a little if I'm trying, but if I'm just drawing, I don't notice. Let's see. 3 polygons, sometimes it does work out well, especially if all your apps use Windows Ink. But I've done it twice now, and something's messed up. Like I always have to end up a month or two later uninstalling one of the drivers. Tio says the XP Pen 19 is a better deal than the Hui 19. It is true. It is true. Actually, how much is that XP Pen 19? I always forget this. Was it Artist Pro 19 Gen 2? $700. That's not bad. That is a much better deal than the Canvas. That's a great point. So that's another one for you to consider if you want to go down the XP Pen route, Axel. It's already much larger than A4 paper. Yes. Hi, Kunto. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining our early morning stream. Yeah, 3 polygons. Good question. If you already have an Intuos Pro Medium, then you don't need to get another pen tablet. Just put all the money toward the pen display and get the Cintiq 24, right? Tio says, I have a preference for cheaper pen displays, as nowadays most pen displays have rather good pen performance. Yes. Nowadays, for a non-Wacom brand, you can get a pretty decent experience almost always. Gaba says, I use a Wacom CTL 4100, want to get a display portable enough to fit my back laptop. Which will be better with regard to durability, longevity? Huion Canvas 16 Gen 3, XP Artist Pro Gen 2, or Wacom Cintiq 16? For longevity, durability, I will always say Wacom. And I assume you mean the Wacom Cintiq 16 2025 edition, right? That being said, make sure it's protected. It's protected. Also, you won't have to deal with the issues that people run into with different drivers, right? So yeah, I think that, for me, on this list, the Cintiq 16 2025 edition would be a better choice, I think, for you. Snow Leopard says, I have a Cintiq 16 AC that I've had since 2023, but I start to have problems with dead pixels. My pen is dying. And I take good care of it. What's happening with your pen, Snow Leopard? Is it... it could be a driver issue. I just want to make sure we know. And since I'm not from the USA, Wacom is super expensive. Yeah, I know that. Wacom will drop the support of 2017 Intuos Pro first, getting a newer generation screen tablet might not be a good option. Let me try to parse that statement, Shaggy. You're saying that you'll have both, but a driver update. Oh, I'm glad we're talking about this. I actually did some data collection on the weekend, so I want to show you guys something. So the question we have now is, how long will Wacom support the 2017 tablets, okay? So guess what? I started collecting some data, okay? So let's take a look at what I collected. I need to go to drawing tablet links and gotta go to Wacom. Okay, take a look here. We're gonna go to Intuos One, the GD series, okay? The GD series released in 1998, and the drivers ended basically, let's just say in 2010, okay? So that was 12 years, okay? So Intuos 1, 12 years. Intuos 2, released in 2001, last drivers 2012, so that was 11 years. So 12 years, 11 years. Intuos 3, released in 2004, drivers stopped in 2015. That's 11 years. So 12, 11, and 11. Intuos 4, released in 2009. And the last drivers in 2020. That's 11 years. Okay? Intuos 5, 2012 release. And 10 years later, they dropped the driver support. Intuos Pro 17, released 2017. So what do we see? So 12, 11, 11, then 10. What does that mean? I expect that by 2027, like as early as 2027, as late as 2029, Wacom will drop support for the Intuos Pro 2017 tablets, right? So you basically we have between 2 and 4 years of driver support. That's what's happening. Okay. You get Static Shock on your Intuos Pro XL 2017. Interesting. Cintiq 1620 looks good, but with any other budget, Gabas let me just look through your previous comment actually, if I can find it. Do you want to use the Wacom CTL 4100 with the same computer you want to use a pen display with? Because that affects the answer. Because the drivers don't mix, that's the problem. So if you want to use them with separate computers, then it's a different answer. Is Open Tablet driver efforts? Yeah, absolutely. It's still going with a lot of. It's not slowing down at all. It's very actively developed. So I wouldn't worry about that 3PO if you're considering using it. Yeah, I mean, basically with the Open Tablet driver, these tablets will work forever, right? Now there are limitations to the Open Tablet driver. And there's some things, some features work differently, and it can be more cumbersome to set up for sure. But it's, it can keep your old tablets alive a long time. So there's a difference in the 3 polygons. There's a difference. I think we're talking about the Intuos 4 XL. So this is one thing I discovered, which is the Intuos 4. It's a little different than the Intuos 4 because it was released in 2009, but the 3 of the models support dropped 11 years later. But one of the models, the PTK 1240, its support dropped just in the past like a year and a half or something, right? Or past 2 years in 2023. So this was alive much longer, like 14. Quite a few, sorry, not 14 years, quite a few more years, right? Was that right? 10, yeah, 14 years. So Snow Leopard, I break your question apart into 2 things. The latest XP Pen tablets are pretty good. The problem is you're already used to the Pro Pen 2, so you might not like the experience of using an XP Pen, right? Because the IAF is a little higher, and some people are very sensitive. Okay, so Galvas, you answered. You want to use the display with your laptop, but the problem is if you're going to use an XP Pen and your CTL 100, that's a Wacom driver for the CTL 4100. And what that means is if you install the XP Pen driver and the Wacom driver, most of the time they will conflict with each other, okay? Some people say they don't conflict, but every time I've done it, a month or 2 later, they conflict, and that gives it a problem. So that's why, in general, if you already have a CTL 4100 and you're going to use it with your laptop, I would say you should get a Wacom because they use the same driver, okay? And of course, that statement is going to be true as long as Wacom supports both tablets with the same driver. At some point, they will drop support for the CTL 4100. At some point. I don't know when, but we know it's going to be like between 10 and 12 years, probably 10 years. Right? Okay, I'm going to just take a quick bio break and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry for the delay. Went to get a cup of coffee as well. Let's see. Let me catch up the chat here. Axel says, I think I'm going with the 22 Pro Gen 2. And I think I can acclimate to the IF if that's the main thing. Yeah, I think that's the only thing you have to really worry about. I then recommend keep all the Pro Pen 2 and Intuos Pro M and the Huion Campus 19 Campus Pro 20. Got it. Let's see. 7 pens, and many people have a problem with that. Yeah. Oh, sorry. 7. Oh, I see. I along with other people. Yeah. So what's always happened for me is I install them, they work for a while, and then they stop. The way it's supposed to work is with the clean and like your machine's clean, you install one and you install the other. Okay. Now here's the deal. The one you installed last will more likely work than the one you installed first. Okay. So if you installed Huion first, then Wacom. What you have to make sure is that any app that you want to use with the tablets is using Windows Ink. Okay? So that's one thing. If you have to use WinTab, in theory, WinTab apps will only work with the last driver that was installed. So in this case, it would be Wacom. Now, what if you update the Huion driver? That might then Huion's the last one installed. Okay, so I've had everything working, and then something went wrong. Now, however, I can't fully determine if the pressure problems I had, meaning loss of pressure, was due to the inherent problems of having two drivers, or just the normal kookiness of Windows Ink, because Windows Ink just creates problems. Let me just show you why. I have a love-hate relationship with the Windows Ink, and I'm going to show you. I think it's one of my first tweets actually was about Windows Ink. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see, Ink. It is my first tweet. Okay. So like here, this is it. This to me represents my feelings about Windows Ink, because this is like a checkbox. Use Windows Ink. It's like, no, Batman is slapping Robin, because it just always creates problems. Nowadays, I actually use Windows Ink, and more or less there are no problems. Okay, but again, it sometimes, even when you're using Windows Ink just by itself with one driver, suddenly you'll have to change the WinTab in CSP for no obvious reason. I don't know why. I do not know why. The 3 Polygon says, I have been able to do total installation, then install Wacom driver, then Huion, and it works well with a Wacom Intuos and Huion Canvas. I'll try again. I'm totally willing to try again. Three Polygon says, yeah, Windows Ink creates problems in Affinity, or used to create them. UI interesting. And that's one thing I just never understand, why we get these problems, right? Oh, it's worse. Sorry. Drivers in general are worse on macOS, because macOS updates cause drivers to break. So that's a separate problem. On macOS, I've actually had great success with, in fact, the very computer I'm on has 4 different drivers on it. All of my Macs, I have 3 of them, have 4 different drivers installed. Is that right? 3 of them? 1, 2? Yeah, 3. And I've never had a problem. Some people say they do have problems. Now, I've just not run into them. Monty is here. Good to see you. I asked these companies to support about driver incompatibility. All of them don't recommend having. Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. Yeah, they explicitly say don't have other drivers. Remember, their driver will not stop you from doing this. Like they will let you do it, but it may not be a good choice. It is indeed a love and hate situation, Snow Leopard. It used to be Windows Ink was totally awful. Now it's more 90% it works. 90% it works. Okay, let me get back to looking at Reddit to see if there's any other people that need help. Okay, I answered this person's question. Let's just see if there's any other. Okay, that's someone needs help on a different topic, not buying. Mac OS pressure API is pretty good from what I've seen, though you could get cases like Huion Gaomon drivers stepping on each other. Interesting. And Huion owns Gaomon, right? Is that the reason why? Because there's actually like the same code? Because I could definitely understand why that might be the case, Goob. Let's see. I answered this guy's question. This is just coffee. It's just coffee. Oh, this is interesting. This guy has to get a brand new pen because of this. Every now and then you'll see a pen break like this. Yeah, so UG, Hanvon UG owns XP Pen, Sense Labs, and UG brands. Huion is Gaomon's OEM, makes their digitizers and firmware, so basically Huion tablets. I have never tried a Gaomon tablet, something I need to try. I don't recommend Gaomon tablets, but not because of the technology. I don't recommend them because, basically, I mean, it just goes down to this. If you have problems with one, I haven't seen that their support is super active, and not many people have them in the United States. So it's just rare that someone will be able to talk to you about the tablet you have. If you're in a different country, it changes. I think Tablet Kitten told me in China, Gaomon is a much more popular brand there. So it makes sense in that context. But in my world, people just get Sense Labs, XP Pen, Huion, and Wacom. And definitely I avoid brands like 10 Moons. Shoot. 10 Moons is the worst. 10 Moons is awful. But right above 10 Moons, I would say brands like Vike, Parblo, Artisul, which technically is owned by Huion now, but these smaller brands, I just don't see the support is there. Oh, great question. I love it. I love it. In fact, did I write it up here? Let me show you. I think I wrote up my notes here. Let me double check. I thought I did. Moving pad notes. I didn't write up my notes. Okay. But the short answer I can just tell you. Okay. I love it. I think it's one of the best. It's my tablet of the year, right? I absolutely think it's one of my favorite things to draw on. Is it perfect? No, but it's like it's got the best drawing experience easily. It's missing some other features that I'd like easily to DisplayPort out, true DisplayPort in, but it's great. Axel says, I saw you seem very positive about moving Pad Pro 14. Yes. Would you still rule it out for a PC connected Cintiq replacement? Okay. That's a great question. It's a great question. So let's talk about it so that everyone's on the same page. Some tablets. So how does a normal pen display work? if you connect it with the USB-C cable. The pen display has supports a feature called DPN, DisplayPort in, meaning it receives a DisplayPort signal so it can show a video signal. Okay. Now, and it can accept data through that port. Okay, and it can accept some power, obviously, through that port. Okay, so those are the three requirements: power, data, and video signal. From your computer's point of view, any display that supports DPN in this way is just a monitor. Okay, so it's just expected to work. Now, a pen tablet or pen display, in addition to that, on your computer you install a driver and you get all these new capabilities, and then your pen will work. Okay. So you plug it in, DPN, and the driver gives you these abilities to use touch and pen with that tablet. Even if it was easy to set up the software with the MovingPad Pro, there are a set of problems that people are going to have. Okay. Number one, in terms of drawing, it's fine. That's not the problem. The problems are all these other things that happen. Like, for example, the drivers don't let you configure the pressure curve or map the buttons. And I can't remember if touch works, right? It may not be supported. So it doesn't work just like a pen display. It actually is missing features, right? Now, compare this to the way the XP Pen Magic Drawing Pad 2025 edition works. It actually supports DPN. And there, the XP Pen driver, at least in my testing, I have to complete this, it knows about the tablet. The actual XP Pen driver on the computer knows that there's a tablet there. And I think you can configure the pen and set a pressure curve. I haven't fully tried this, so I need to double check, but that's really the way it should work, right? Yeah, 3 Guns, you're right. The entire Discord server loves it. Yes. They were using Artemis lately, and they said, which is, I guess, Artemis is intended for gaming, and that might work better. And I believe there was a conversation on the Discord that said Wacom's feature called Instant Pen Display is really a tweaked or rebranded version of Easy Canvas, if I recall that discussion correctly. Which I've never used that, so I'm not sure if Easy Canvas is good or bad. I will say I was pleasantly surprised with how fast and non-laggy the Instant Pen Display was. There was just a tiny bit of lag, but like overall it was really good, honestly. But it is missing these other features. Like again, the Wacom driver doesn't know it's there, right? I was really surprised how well and how responsive it felt to use the MovingPad Pro 14 with Instant Pen Display. I'm setting up a new laptop that is running Win11 and the V20 Huion driver is working fine with the KP19 and CSP. No jitter. Okay, because previously you were seeing a little bit of jitter, right? So Win10 must have been the issue. I think it may not have been Win10. I would lean towards one of the previous drivers you had causing it, but I can't explain exactly why a driver would have it, right? But I'm happy to see that you're not seeing the jitter at all. That is actually good to hear. So thank you for sharing that, Hera. Stable. I've made that mistake. Stabilizer being turned on when I didn't realize it. It happens. I've done that test. And I'm like, wow, this tablet has no wobble. And I'm like, oh, the stabilizer's on. Yeah, that's why. It is always a little embarrassing. There we go. There we go. Sorry, I'm sorry to hear the no jitter was just an illusion, but it's good to know that stabilizer will fix it, right? I've come to realize that the stabilizer is, I would say, I have a getting started document for tablets. I need to add this explanation that you should learn to use the stabilizer or a smoothing or whatever, right? Going back to V15. Okay, well, at least you tried, and now you know. Now you know. Okay, everyone, I have to get ready for my doctor's appointment. So thanks for joining. We just had a great chat, as always. I will do, again, at least one more stream this week about buying tablets, and we can just chat during that stream. I'll probably also just stream on an actual topic. Maybe we'll try some of the topics people identified, like here, I think people talked about trying a stream on Fire Alpaca or Medibang. I do need to do a video this week on barrel rotation. I hate calling it barrel roll. So yeah, this is gonna be a busy week, and I will set up a tablet tier video for next week, okay? And we will do a year in review either in late November or early December, okay? And the Drawing Tablet Awards will be sometime after that, okay? Thanks, everybody. As always, I love having you on stream. It's always just a fun time. It really made my morning. And I'll see you all soon, okay? Bye.